So we set our 2 frame rocks in here, and that's allowing me to actually build a stack slate wall up in the middle of it. This is just gonna be our spillway. First, I gotta work all the way up to it, so I'm taking little pieces, cutting them up with the hammer, making sure it's level as I go, because once we get to the top, which is somewhere around here, we're gonna put a nice big piece, 1 or 2 pieces that are super flat, super level, because our water's actually coming right over that, creating this sheet style effect. Let me show you what it looks like when it's all finished. So Bully did this side.
You can see the stack slate, he worked some rocks into it.
So Bully did this side, he did the slate all the way down from the bottom to the top. He even worked in a nice big rock in there, and then kind of put some moss in there to make it look a little bit less rocky and a little bit more natural. Zoom in on me.
Yo, Adrian. With this side of the waterfall really taking shape, we can now start to focus on this right side. We did end up just taking all the rock work out of the existing waterfall. I want to start it a little bit higher actually than what it was, just so we can kind of match up the rock work. And I'm going to leave a pocket back in here behind this boulder to have some plants that eventually come over this. So that's really going to tie these both together. And then on the outside where we have this butterfly bush, which we're leaving, we're going to pull some of the rock work out that's in front of it and actually extend this bed out to bring this out, because it's getting kind of tight right here. I don't really like the look of it, so I wanted to fix all that. Here we've got to have an interface between the water being fed at this waterfall and the water being fed over here. So I want to block this off. I want water coming down this side, that side, probably some sort of drop right here, and then corral it over that way, so we can have most of our water from this pump on this side just feeding these 2 waterfalls. And the smaller pump will be more tranquil, smaller drops, bigger pooling areas, making its way back down into our reservoir.
So right now we're at the part in our build where we're starting to neaten up a lot of our pools, a lot of our drops. And one of the things we do to help get that pooling water is we'll do bibs actually in between a lot of the rocks. So like for right here and a couple other spots along the waterfall, we're gonna do these bibs. So we'll cut pieces of fabric right into the spot. So making sure that it kind of just comes up the rock a little bit here, right along the gravel bed. So that way it has a little bit of like a lip. And then we'll just lay it down through the whole thing. We'll lay out foam, and then we'll press the fabric real nicely all over the top of it until you see a little bit of foam kind of come up around the top. That's going to create a nice good seal, and that'll actually keep the water inside of this versus going down all this gravel and then ending up back in the reservoir. So this will help us with pooling and getting a lot more action coming over a lot of these drops. What a difference a year makes. This looks out of this world. They added some planting to it. This is how we envisioned it looking. The
The idea for this pondless waterfall came from this extension of the house. They put this beautiful sunroom on with the balcony above it. Mark and his wife wanted to be able to sit inside there or up top and see a beautiful work of art. That's what we've got here. 500-gallon reservoir feeds all these different cascades. There was a small pondless waterfall here before. We went ahead and took that out and actually incorporated that end of it back into what is now this larger version. This was a technical project. We had to bring in the spider crane to fit through that gate so we can lift up these larger rocks. And I'm glad we did, because now it really fits the scale of this backyard. Look how all the plants came in, really naturalizing this, looking like it's coming out from the wood line. It's so much fun when we can incorporate some natural elements like this driftwood. We brought this piece in. This looks like it would have been growing out of the rockwork, and that's really the key to using stuff like this. I don't like to just lay wood into the water feature. It really has to make sense. So in nature, you would see a tree growing up in between rockwork, moss, all that kind of stuff. You could assume that it died at some point and fell off, and this is what's left of it. This lends a naturalistic feel, and it's not looking contrived in this application. And we're able to use this as part of our waterfall. So we're coming out from the headwaters down into here, and we've got this little gully that's formed by the leg of the stump that forces the water come around it, giving it such a nice effect. Then this rock leaning in like this lets the water ride up on it and shoot off in front. So we're getting the whole circuit completed right there. I really love how this turned out. This property grows moss like crazy, which I actually love. So you can see it filling in all the cracks. We started some of the moss when we built this, but now it's just taken over on its own naturally. We've got a lot of shade here. There's a whole moss garden up behind here, so this is a great environment to grow moss. Check this out. Frogs are everywhere in this thing. They love all these side areas like the moss. They want to be right against the water, giving them an escape route into this pool. That guy there is just hanging out, chilling, loving his new environment.
Alright guys, let's find out how many of you make it this far in the video, and let's confuse those who don't. In the comments below, drop that talking frog is mind-blowing.
After we come out of all these cool areas here with the cascades, it's feeding through this stream, opens up, and then goes back down to the reservoir. Then we've got just layer upon layer of waterfalls in this short space. In reality, from the edge of the walkway to the wall is only about 10 feet. So we had to squeeze a lot into 10 feet. And we were able to accomplish that because we used the spider crane with the larger boulders, really keeping it compact, but still achieving all these really fantastic cascades. Just like the other side, we're starting out from a spring type effect, coming and feeding these waterfalls. We're splitting around these rocks, feeding all these different spots, working its way down. Utilizing the shape of the rock itself to block some of the water and to let it come around. This is actually blocking it so we can get that pool back there and send the water off to the right side. And then we've got it where it drops down, utilizing that to actually have a cascade, small one coming off of here, as well as the majority of the water going off to the left side. Falling into pools, this is where the sound comes in. So when we're falling into pools like that, we can get that nice, tranquil, deep bass sound, something that's really desirable, especially when you're in a backyard setting like this. We're right against the house. All the sound back here is being trapped in this corridor, so we don't want it to overpower the space. When Mark and his wife have all the windows open and when they're up on the deck, it's just a nice permeation of beautiful tranquility going through the backyard, as opposed to like a hard, high treble, crashy sound. This is something that I really love doing, is having a rock sloped in where we can use it to let the water run off and then finally spill at the end. And we're mirroring that on both sides of this center rock. Super important part is hiding all of our components that make this function. We need the pump vault, all that stuff to make it work, but we don't want to see those things. And hiding it in such a way that it's still accessible is really a crucial part to pulling this whole thing off. Could you envision this in your backyard? Do you have a small space where you want to make a big impact? I think this one might fit the bill. We would love if you would share these videos with your friends, with your family. Help us out, hit that subscribe button. Come on back every week. We are building beautiful water features and showing you how we do it. We'll see you on the next one.